Thank you for tuning into TTV. I'm your host, Toya, and today is Wisdom Wednesday, where we go over the Tao Te Ching, and we are on verse number 3 today, which has to do with tempering. So I did look up tempering for you guys so I can have the definition. So tempering is to act as a neutralizing or counterbalancing force to something. Okay, and as act as a neutralizing or counterbalancing force to something. So we're going to get into this and start to read this and see what we get out of it. So again, the Tao Te Ching, and again, this is the book that I have that I read from. This one is by Ralph Allen Dale. So overpraising the gifted leads to contentiousness. Overvaluing the precious invites stealing. Craving the desirable loses contentment. The natural person desires without craving and acts without excess. By not doing, everything is done. So, to break down what this means to me, or how I am interpreting it, and again, as always, I would love to hear your interpretation of it or your thoughts of it. So leave those comments below, because I would love to explore what you think about these as well. Especially if you've been going along, like, what are you getting out of this? How do you feel about this? As I stated before, Wayne Dyer, well, anyway, Wayne Dyer, I'm gonna just go with Dyer. He went through this and he wrote basically an essay to himself on each one of these verses and what it means to him and what he got out of it. I think some of them he even had to do a little research on them. So that's an idea for you as far as to get a little more, do a little deeper dive on these verses to see how they can better help you and bring extra wisdom to your life. So for me, the overpraising the gifted leads to contentiousness. So when somebody does something good, it's great, it's awesome, and you're like, way to go. It feels good when people tell you that. But when they keep going on and keep going on about it, you start to get irritated because it just starts to really bother you. And I think one of the reasons it gets to bothering you is because, one, you feel like they're putting you on a pedestal for this one thing that they're overpraising you for. And then two, it's building up an expectation that you understand is now going to be what's expected of you come to the future. Or, as far as you're going on. And so you get irritated because now it's a part of like, okay, am I going to live up to this expectation? Or why are you making such a big deal? Because now I'm not trusting you. Now I'm not believing what you said. Why is this such a big deal? Why are you giving me all this praise for this? What's your real motive? Especially if you like us from Detroit, we get paranoid real easy. What's your motive here? Why you doing all this overpraising? Like, why you telling me this is a good job? Like, you said it once and I'm like, okay, cool. You said it twice. It's like, yeah, okay, thank you. You keep going on and on about it. What you hiding? What you trying to do? What's your real reason? Do you even feel like I did a good job? Or was all of this fake? So when you overpraise somebody, it loses its value with them. So, just don't overdo it. Overvaluing the precious invites stealing. So when you have something that you feel is extremely valuable, like we do with our material possessions, especially with our homes and the things that we have in them, or our cars, things like that, we value them and we put so much energy into worrying about whether or not we're going to keep it. And if you've watched some of these videos before in the past, I'm big on energy. So what you put out is what you're going to call to you. So if you're worried about somebody stealing your car, or you're worried about somebody damaging it, or you worried about somebody breaking into your house, and you worried about them stealing something, and you worried about something being taken from you, guess what? You're opening, that's what you're telling the universe. Hey, come get this from me. I don't want it. Even though you're worried about taking it, the universe doesn't understand that you mean the opposite of what it is you're saying. You mean the opposite of the energy that you're putting out there. It just reads energy as, okay, you want this taken, so we gonna have somebody take it. Okay, so you have to be careful about that energy that you put out. Stuart Wilde, I remember watching one of his videos, and I apologize, I don't know which one it is, but he was talking about in his days when he was really rich and had a lot of money and, was living that life, okay, that American young boy life that we see, rich young boy. And he said that he had this Rolls Royce. I know there's other people out there that have a hard time pronouncing that. But anyway, he was so worried about this car, worried about it getting hit, worried about it getting damaged or scratched or whatever, because the car was just so expensive. He was just really worried about it and put a lot of energy into worrying about what happens with this car. And so what happened is he came out one day and it was keyed. It had a, well, I'm not gonna say it was keyed, but he said it was like a long scratch about it, and it really upset him, and he was really mad about it because he spent this. It cost so much money, and he said it was to the point that his worry over this car was to the point where he hardly ever drove it. So what's the point in having something if you can't even be comfortable driving it? You can't be comfortable with being out with it. That's like wedding rings, for example. You know, you go to the extent of giving your girl this really huge diamond that costs, you know, $500,000 or whatever. So she got this big old rock on her finger and you had to get insurance put on it. And now you afraid for her to go out by herself because you're afraid somebody gonna jump her, rob her, take this ring from her. So that's what I mean. I think that's what is really being saying by overvaluing something to the point where you're asking somebody to do something. You're asking somebody to take it. You know, if it's something you enjoy, then just enjoy it and be happy with it. That's all. Craving the desirable loses contentment. So to me, this means more so like if you are wanting something, you're desiring something, and that desire starts to build up to the point where if you were to get it or obtain it, it no longer, you can't be happy with it because you wanted it so bad and you built up this desire for it so bad that it becomes an addiction or it becomes an obsession. And therefore you're no longer content with it because now it has to be something more than what it originally was. So we'll use most things that people crave being food. So let's say it's a cake that your mama made. Okay, you waiting because it's the holidays and your mama about to make this cake and you know she gonna make it. It's gonna be so good, so good, so good, and you just can't wait to get this cake. And it's just been building up, building up, building up, building up, building up. So when you do finally get it, you get your slice of that cake, and you like, yeah, this is it. This is it. Let me get another one. Yeah, this is it. Ooh, this is good. Let me. Oh yeah, don't you touch that cake. That's my mama cake. That's for me. You know, she made that for me. You know, and now you taking them. Let me take a couple of these pieces and put them in the side. You know how we do. You put it, wrap it up, and put it in some place where can't nobody else get to it because that's yours. Because now you worried that you're not gonna get no more of it. Now you're not content with what you had. You're worried about what you're going to continue to get, and you're worried about somebody else taking it from you. So it's the same thing with other things in your life. If you're so worried about the lack of it, you know, or the scarcity of it, then you can't enjoy it when you have it because you're worried about getting the next piece. You're worried about getting more and putting it to the side. You're worried about all these other aspects of it to where now you can't even enjoy it. You can't even be happy with what you had because now you're looking for something more. So that's my interpretation of that. The natural person desires without craving and acts without excess. So when you get to a point that we all are trying to get to, you know, you're trying to ascend to that person that you can be, where you can be your whole person. You can be your true self. And when you get to that, a lot of these things like overpraising, overvaluing, craving, it's just no longer who you are because you are in your natural state. You are the person that you were meant to be. And so none of the rest of the stuff really matters. You can be content just sitting alone in the dark. You can be content with a walk. You can be content with anything that you're given. You don't feel that scarcity. You don't get irritated or mad every time somebody says something, you know, like with that overpraising. You understand now that overpraising and what they're doing is an issue that they have. It ain't got nothing to do with you. You know, you understand that overvaluing things will call for something to come take it from you. You know, you don't crave as much because you can be content with what you have. You can be content with what you had, you know, with the experience. Whatever it is, you can be content with it. And so by not doing, everything is done. So when you get to that point where you are that natural person, you don't have to do anything else because everything is already done. You are already a balanced person. You already are in tune. You already are aligned. And so a lot of things that people do, like the overpraising, overvaluing, craving, those are actions. Those are things that we do. You no longer have to do because you just are. And you're okay with it. So again, that was my interpretation of verse 3, tempering of the Tao Te Ching. And I would love to hear what you have to say. So please share your comments below. And if you found this helpful or insightful, please like, share, and subscribe with other people. Well, subscribe and share with other people. But I enjoyed this. I'm really enjoying going through this too with you guys because, like I told you before, I didn't get through this the whole way any other time I've opened this book. I've always had to keep starting over, keep starting over. So this is my commitment and me holding myself accountable is doing this with you guys so that I can get through the whole book. Now, verse 4 is the great integrity. Y'all know how I feel about integrity. You know, I love that integrity and maintaining it. So can't wait for next week when we go over that one. So in the meantime, check out one of these other videos. Whichever side it's going to be on. Probably this side. Well, this side. But I love you guys. Check out one of the other videos and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.